We now call the Iberia Parish Council agenda February 28th to order. It's 6:03. Mr. Napier, can you say the prayer?
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for gathering us here today. May we all keep you in mind as we do the people's work here. Please bless our troops, our veterans, active, the children and the adults that were killed in Florida and their families. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Mr. Gonsalas, the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Tommy Pollard. Michael Landry.
Here.
Tommy Landry. David Brown.
Here.
Warren Gottschalk. Here. Natalie Broussard. Here. Paul Landry.
Here.
Ricky Gonsalas.
Here.
Joe Dugas.
Here.
Eugene Olivier.
Here.
Brian Napier.
Here.
Berwick Francis. Marty Trahan.
Here.
Chad Botchray.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Mr. Pollard's running late. He got back late from a road trip, and he'll be joining us shortly. And Mr. Tommy Landry is out sick right now. Okay, we need a motion to go into public comments. Have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Brown. Roll call. And motion passes. Item number 1, comments from the general public on non-agenda items. We have none. And item number 2, comments from the general public on agenda items. Anybody would like to say anything? Seeing nothing, we'll go back. I need a motion and a second to go back into regular session. We have Ricky made the motion and Ms. Broussard second. Roll call. And motion passes. Reports, Finance and Administration, we have none. Reports, Parish and other governmental agencies, none. Public Works reports, Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated February 5th to 9th and 12th to 16th, 2018. And Public Works Department report for open work orders dated February 20th, 2018 are in your packet. And special business, we have none. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump to, and under resolutions, we're going to let Mr. Parker Templeton come up and talk about his item number 36.
Good evening, Mr. Landry and council members, administration. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening to recommend BKD's annual audit. Understand you had a lovely Valentine's Day with our chief financial officer 2 weeks ago, Dion Viator, and she provided a brief snapshot of the organization's 2017 fiscal year. As you likely recall, it was a clean audit. We had very favorable financial results, and it was a good year for us. It was post-acquisition, so a very exciting year where we were able to fully realize the benefits of a multiple campus organization. So we're really excited as we continue to invest in the organization and the community's future, having just opened our new birthing center, cancer center, sleep lab, among many other services on our multiple campuses. But we continue to closely monitor the legislative landscape, as you likely know. Our friends in Baton Rouge have a very difficult task ahead with a $700 million budget shortfall, and Medicaid is on the chopping block. And as Dion pointed out to you 2 weeks ago, with Medicaid expansion, our community has seen a significant increase and the number of individuals that have Medicaid. Unfortunately, it does not pay healthcare providers, including hospitals, very much. And so what little funding that we do have is potentially being cut here in Baton Rouge, and then changes at the federal level have impacted our reimbursement, particularly a program called 340B, which is how we purchase outpatient drugs. So we have a lot to be proud of, but we also remain steadfast in being good stewards of our organization's resources. I'll pause there and be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anybody have any questions at this time? Mr. Gonsalves?
I just want to make a comment to Mr. Templeton. A job well done, Parker. And look, we had opportunity, a few of us, to sit down with Dion and Parker and the chairman and look at the audit. And I was very, very pleased and ecstatic about where we're moving and what direction we're moving. And just a couple points that I picked up out the meeting and that some of you might not be aware of. But over the last 18 years, this hospital showed a net profit other than the year that we acquired Dotri's Hospital. And over the last 5 years, we had a 32% increase in employment. So we're putting our own people to work, more or less, and we're generating things that this community needs. And I said it in the meeting that strong communities will not survive without a strong hospital. And congratulations for providing that to our community. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions? Ms. Gonsalves was correct. About a week ago, we met Mr. Eugene, Ricky, myself, the administration, Mr. Richard, and their chairman and their financial, and they went thoroughly, line by line. We had it up on the screen, and I'm like Ricky, I'm really impressed, and I think we're heading the right way. So just before we vote on this resolution, we wanted to give Mr. Parker a chance to get up here and talk. Mr. Richard?
I simply want to tell you, Parker, I know you have a hard job.
So do you.
Well, I want to tell you, you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
With the funds that you have, and I know what you're going through, and good job. So I'm not going to get
Thank
into
you.
everything. I just think you're doing a fantastic job.
Appreciate it. Well, we have a phenomenal team, as I shared
That's what
with
it
you
is,
all.
right.
We're now up to about 750 employees, over 100 active medical staff members, and together they're working tirelessly to meet the needs of this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time, Mr. Parker. Now we'll go on to council member announcements. Does any of the council members have any announcements? Mr. Gonsalves?
I don't want to steal our parish president announcement. Maybe he will announce it, but just want to thank the administration and parish president for assembling a meeting this Friday with the agriculture community on drainage. Mr. Richard called the meeting, and we plan on having it Friday at 10:30. 10:30, and I think it's just essential that the administration gets together with the agriculture community and talk about drainage, because at the tail end of these communities, like these parishes, is agriculture land, and that's where all the water's draining. So we need to maintain those tributaries, and we're doing a great job currently, and look forward to the meeting to see the needs of the farmers. And thank you.
You're very welcome.
Anybody else have any comments? I'll take this moment just to do something personal and wish my wife a very happy birthday today. Today's her birthday. So, yeah, and I won't disclose her age, but she was a very attractive 30-year-old when we got married 20 years ago. So now we'll move on to parish president announcements.
And
Ms.
to add
Richard?
on to what Ricky is saying, this is our second year doing that, and I think it's working very, very well. I'd like to make an announcement that one of our parish World War II veterans, Mr. Spencer Broussard, passed away, and his arrangements are pending right now, and I just want to give out sympathy to his family. We're currently working on with engineers on the ramp that we're going to have in the front of the courthouse for handicapped people, so that project is just starting. I'm going to keep you informed with what's going on right there. We're assisting the city of New Iberia with the startup of their new police department. We donated about 20 radios from our surplus stock, and we have agreed to provide them with training for the police department, new dispatchers. That's going to start somewhere around April the 1st or thereabout. We're constructing a new backup 911 center right now in the basement at the courthouse here, and this is going to be for our 911 center. We're going to keep this short because we have a lot of things that we need to go over tonight. So I'm done with the parish announcements. Oh, one other thing. Today I was the speaker at New Iberia Senior High School for their Black History, African Americans in Time of War. It was an excellent program. I really had a good time talking to the students over there. It was very, very well attended. It was awesome. That's about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to consent agenda items. First, minutes, regular meetings of January 10th, 2018, published February 8th. Regular meeting of January 24th, published February 19th. Summary number 28, introduced by Lloyd Brown, District 4, a resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Eddie Williams, brother of Jeanerette Board of Alderman Charles Williams, who passed away on February 8th, 2018. Summary number 29, introduced by Paul G. Landry, District 7, a resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Arthur Ozzie Jolivet, father-in-law of Parish President M. Larry Richard, who passed away on February 13, 2018. Summary number 30, introduced by the Clerk of the Court, a resolution accepting the resignation of Ms. Claire Bork as a member of the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission effective immediately. Summary number 31, a resolution granting the authority to the parish president to sign and submit all necessary documents along adopting certain policies, plans, and procedures in connection with the 2017 Community Development Block Grant Program for a water system improvement project. Summary number 32, introduced by Natalie Broussard, a resolution confirming the parish's support for the establishment of South Louisiana Community College International School of Aviation Excellence to be located at Iberia Parish Campus at Acadian Regional Airport, and further supporting their request for the leasing of property located at Acadiana Regional Airport. Summary number 33, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution expressing support and requesting that the State of Louisiana and Board of Commerce honor the industrial tax exemption contract with Cajun Sugar Company. Note a percentage of the exemption will need to be determined during discussion. Maximum of initial term of 100% exemption for 5 years and renewal of 80% exemption for up to 3 years. Request to be tabled March 14th. Summary number 34, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution expressing support and requesting that the State of Louisiana and Board of Commerce honor the industrial tax exemption contract with Northern Gulf Properties LLC. Note the percentage of exception will need to be determined during discussion. Maximum of initial term of 100% exemption for up to 5 years and renewal of 80% exemption for up to 3 years. Request to be tabled until March 14th. Summary number 35, introduced by the Clerk of the Council, a resolution expressing support and requesting that the State of Louisiana and Board of Commerce honor the industrial tax exemption contract with Streamline Equipment Leasing Incorporated. Note the percentage of exemption will need to be determined during discussion. Maximum of initial term of 100% exemption for up to 5 years and renewal of 80% exemption for up to 3 years. Request to be tabled. Is there anything that anyone wants to take out? We need a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Gonsalas.
I would move to take out summary number 33, 34, and 35.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Broussard has a motion to pull out 33, 34, and 35. I have a second by Mr. Gonsalas.
You
Ro-
don't need a vote. All you have to
Okay.
do is a request and it's removed.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and vote on the rest of the consent agenda items. Roll call?
And so our motion is to approve the rest of the
Correct.
consent agenda without.
Without pulling 33, 34, and 35. And that motion passes. So now we'll go back to summary number 33. Get a motion on that by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Gonsalas.
Move to table it to the March 14th meeting.
Okay, we have a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Okay, roll call. That motion passes. Mr. Steele, did you want to talk about any of these items?
I just wanted to mention that the reason for tabling this is not because the council's not ready and prepared to deal with it.
Mr. Andy?
This-
No, yeah.
This is an area that parishes have been struggling with. This is the first time that you've now had the authority to approve of these. These were always done by the state, which was very easy for them because they were forgiving your taxes, not theirs. So this is your first time, and the school board's going to be involved, the sheriff's office, the assessor, and yourself. And this is to give a little opportunity to work with Mr. Tarantino and try to come up with a process for dealing with these in the future.
Okay. Summary number 34. We have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Discussion?
I'd move to table that to March 14th meeting.
Okay. We have a second. Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 35. We have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Discussion?
Table to March 14th.
Okay. Okay. Roll call. And motion passes. Ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption. Summary number 4893, introduced by Paul G. Landry, District 7. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 2017-04-4821, which abandoned the road right-of-way between lots 7B and 7A in Jacqueline Estates, District 7, in order to abandon a utility easement. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Trahan. Ms. Broussard?
Wait,
Mr. Trahan? Roll call. And motion passes. Resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption. Item summary number 36, introduced by Hospital Service District Number 1, a resolution accepting and approving the Hospital Service District Number 1 audit for fiscal year 2016 to 2017 for the year ending September 30th, 2017. All is recommended by the Iberia Parish Hospital Service District Number 1 Board of Commissions. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Ms. Broussard. Discussion? Ms. Broussard?
no.
Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 37, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $258,500 to return previous funding appropriated to the Waterworks District Number 4 by resolution number 2014-191 of the Iberia Parish Council to the fund balance previous year's line item. I have a motion by Mr. Olivier, a second by Mr. Trahan. Mr. Olivier? Wade, Mr. Trahan? Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 38, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 Economic Development District Number 1 fund budget in the amount of $245,946 to provide funding for change order number 4 and other related costs for the Estes Road Sewer Project and to carry over additional costs for the Highway 675 Roundabout Project, all to be funded from the fund balance, previous year's line item, and as amended to provide that the funding in the amount of $26,000 previously dedicated to the Lewis Street project be taken from Louisiana Highway 14 Sewer Project. I have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Olivier.
I waive.
Mr. Olivier? Mr. Dugas?
Yeah, question, what is change order number 4? What is the actual change order? I mean, I didn't see it. What are they doing?
The last change order, where's Michael? Read that change order, if you don't mind, Michael.
I don't have it with me, but it's the remaining work that.
We're trying to finish up everything.
The project,
Hey, Black. David.
I think it's 7.
You were looking for David?
Where's David?
He's walking in.
Coming in.
Yeah, that would be nice to know.
Give me 1 second.
I think that's what
You
you're looking
can go
for.
down and say it's got David. You're walking in at the right time, that was question.
Can we wait for it?
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
Joe, you gotta,
Huh?
you gotta make it.
How you doing?
Change order number 4, Mr. Moore. What
Okay.
was that about?
The change order is, the project had been delayed for quite a while. due to some rights of way and easement issues. And so the contractor had to demobilize from the project and go about their business doing other work. And so this change order is one to pay him to remobilize back to our project and get back going. And then the second item was to raise some electrical equipment that had gotten flooded back in that August 2016 high water. And so we elected to go ahead and raise that equipment to try to keep it out of any further flooding in that area.
So the change order dealing with right of ways and easement issues, that the road has to be used for where it was supposed to be?
Not directly. The change order has to do with paying the contractor to remobilize back to the project after those items were corrected. So,
But those items have been corrected, is what I'm saying.
yes.
So the full 245,000 was a demob and mob cost?
No, that money includes several other things that's not included. The change order is like $71,000.
That's what I was,
Right, the change order is on the side of 1,000.
thank you.
So this is retainage?
This is we're trying to finish the project.
Ms. Gonsalas?
And then that was my question to David or Larry. Is this additional change order and additional money, we're gonna complete this project?
That's the game
Is it-
plan.
Is that the game plan?
Yes, yes.
All right.
It is past time, you know, this project has been going on well before our time, so it's time to put it in there.
Are we gonna be looking at
That's all the money from this project, yes.
That's the plan, Brian.
Any other discussion on this? Okay. Mr. Napier, you had a question?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
If no other questions, and roll call. And that motion passes. Summary number 39, introduced by the parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 Public Buildings Maintenance Fund balance in the total amount of $516,822 to provide for various carryovers of funding for various projects. We have a motion by Mr. Olivier, a second by Michael Landry. Mr. Olivier? And Michael Landry's okay. Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 40, introduced by parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 royalty fund budget in the total amount of $1,077,460 to provide for carryover funding for the bridge projects. Have a motion by Mr. Olivier, a second by Mr. Trahom. Mr. Olivier? Mr. Trahom, roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 41, introduced by parish president, a resolution amending the 2018 Public Building Maintenance Fund budget in the amount of $1,400,000 to provide for funding for renovations to the new Public Works facility, formerly the Dutch Gosnell Building. All is submitted by Paul J. Allaire, architect. I have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Ms. Broussard?
Yeah, I'd like to table this to the March 14th meeting.
Okay, and I have a motion by Ms. Broussard to table and a second by Mr. Gonsalas. Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Wait, Mr. Brown wants to just.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Mr. President, it's 14.
That's plenty of time. You would like to table till 14.
Okay.
I have a few more things, Mr. Brown, I would like for the council to look at, along with the architect.
All right.
Okay, so we have a motion to table on the floor. Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 42, introduced by parish president, a resolution waiving all requirements of section 2-33 of the Iberia Parish compiled ordinances relative to the 2018 renewals of various liability insurance coverage policies, and further authorizing the awarding of said contracts for property and liability insurance with various agencies. All is recommended by the parish Administration. Have a motion by Ms. Broussard, a second by Mr. Olivier. Mr. Gonsalas?
Nope. Wait.
Okay. I think I'll go ahead and maybe Mr. Larry, Mr. Richard can say, that ordinance says we have to start 6 months ahead. So this is a thing that's going to pop up to us all the time. So eventually, we need to go back and take this ordinance and change it to 30 days or, okay. 45 days, okay. So that's my discussion. Any other?
Requested the clerk to put that on ordinance.
Okay.
Hold on, hold on.
That's too long.
Okay, so tell me what you need. 30 days or so?
You just need to,
30 days.
you just
Yeah.
need to repeal it.
Repeal.
I'm gonna prepare
Okay.
an ordinance doing that, but it need to be fresh on your mind because of the problems you had this year. And, you know, none of those companies will give you their quotes until right at 30 days out. So any artificial time period you put on there is not gonna change what the companies do.
Okay, so legal's going to take care of this problem? Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Olivier?
The only thing I suggest, that Brenda and I talked about it, is getting it on the agenda ahead of time, even though the quotes are not ready, that way we don't have to worry about expansions or anything like that. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. No other discussion, roll call? That motion passes. Summary number 43, introduced by Paul G. Landry, District 7, a resolution requesting the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to conduct a traffic study for the installation of a turning lane on Louisiana 86 Louisville Road at its intersection with North Lewis Street in order to provide a turning arrow for westbound traffic turning left onto Lewis Street, District 7 and 8. We have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Ms. Broussard. Mr. Gonsalas?
Mr. Landry, I think this is a great thought process, and I thought maybe we should just leave it up to DOTD to do a traffic mediation. Let them determine what would be the best solution for that intersection, whether it be, you know, turn lane on Lewis Street, turn lane on Louisville, or roundabout, whatever their solution is to maybe alleviate it at cost. I don't know what you.
I'm fine with anything.
Whatever DOTD determines as their
Is the
ample
best.
solution to fix that area.
So do we make a substitute?
Yeah, so I'll make a substitute motion to let DOTD to remain the issue of traffic mediation in that area.
Okay, we have a substitute motion on the floor, Mr. Gonsalas.
You good with
And
this?
we have
Okay.
That's okay with the second.
okay. Any other discussion? Roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 43, introduced, nope, 44. Summary number 44, introduced by Paul G. Landry, District 7, a resolution requesting the administration to research the possibility of merging the drainage flow of Channel M-26 T-Bayou after Lewis Street in order to divert some of T-Bayou's water towards Bayou Teche. Have a motion by Mr. Gonsalas, a second by Mr. Trahan. Mr. Gonsalas? Mr. Trahan? Mr. Goshasan?
Mr. Landry, can you please explain just a little bit on this for us?
Yeah, what's happening right now is all the old part of T-Bayou that's been covered and put in a pipe that comes from, like, let's say the Highland Baptist area.
Okay.
It goes underneath Lewis Street. It goes through property of the North Campus. And when it gets to the LaSalle's property, instead of entering T-Bayou, it makes it right and goes all the way to Bayou Teche. That's where all that Highland Baptist area drains, and it's like a 72-inch pipe. So actually the first foot of T-Bayou is just a ditch, goes all the way to Lake Falls Point. So I think what we could do is divert some of this water that comes from maybe Terrell Court area and coming back, you know, with the use of some weirs so that nothing would overflow either way. And we would divert it back to
And you don't think the water would come back from?
No, there's a high depth from the Bayou Teche to where the T-Bayou starts. And if we do ever have a problem, none of us are gonna be in town to worry about it. So,
I just don't,
And-
want to open one box and cause problems that come from the other side.
no, I think that's a good question.
What's being requested
I'm gonna have to get an engineer to do it anyway.
Right,
I'm gonna have to get a
right.
study, and we're gonna have to do a notarize in order to make it work, but I think it's a good request.
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I think Mr. Pat Viator wanted to say something about it.
Okay.
I can yield to him for a second, 2 minutes.
Mr. Pat, state your name.
Pat Viator, 204 San Juan. I was a city councilman way back in the 80s through 92 and a half. We do have a 8-foot square box culverts all the way behind, parallel to Lewis Street. And then coming into those square boxes is 2 6s underneath Lewis Street, going back to Highland Baptist. We did put 3 6s there in case there would be problems later on at Highland Baptist. So we wouldn't have to break Lewis Street again. So as I mentioned to you before, Paul, there's a good chance, I think you can put 2 6s in 72, and you can put 2 72 culverts into an 8-foot square. So that might be some little deal that you could bring some of the water back, maybe a couple of streets to that 8-foot square box. Now, they did have a study, Fenton made a study a couple of years back. They did it twice. They did it for us when the city council. They did it for the parish council. It cost $105,000 the last time to do the study for the parish and the city. And they were talking about retention ponds, this and that, But I think y'all are on the way with Napier and Ricky of doing some digging on T-Bayou. And now, I don't know if y'all read the advertiser. Shuffler and Guy Cormier are talking about putting more Lake Martin into Cypress Island, more Cypress Island into the Judaic Canal and the Cypress Island. And that's going to be a problem for us. We're going to have to watch that real close. I spoke to none of the planners right there at the Judaic Canal. He said the big rain in 2016, the water was coming over the Keystone blocks. And they said the water was going back into Squirrel Run and going back on the canal, going back towards Cypress Island. So actually what it was doing, it was just circulating. And if we allow more water to come on us, which they are digging those canals right now, St. Martin, Acadian Acres is going to be flooded again, I'll assure you. And we put $2 or $3 million in Acadian Acres to drain it already way back in 85, 86. So,
Okay, well, thank
and
you.
I gave this article to Freddie DeCourt because he has to be aware of this, dropping more water on us, You got to know these northern parish, all they're doing is dropping on us. They're dropping on us.
Yeah.
And we better wake up, that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, thank you.
Summary number 45, introduced by Rick, roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 45, introduced by Ricky J. Gonsalas, District 8. A resolution requesting a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to evaluate the outlet of Lake Force Point for a possible dredging project in order to dredge that area where Channel M-26 T-Bayou drains into the lake. Note duplicate item will need to be deleted. Mr. Gonsalas has a motion, second by Ms. Broussard. Yes.
I move to delete this item because it was previously put on the council agenda. So it's already on the books and being drafted.
Okay. Ms. Broussard?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, roll call. And motion passes. Summary number 46, introduced by Brian P. Napier, District 11, a resolution requesting the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to evaluate that area of Lake Force Point located between the Generate Boat Landing and the lake for a possible dredging project in order to dredge said area. Have a motion by Mr. Napier, a second by Ms. Broussard. Mr. Napier?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason I put this on there, since I've been here, for the sports enthusiasts from Generate that want to go to the lake, we either have to go to Sharonton or to Lowerville. This body of water has, with a boat landing, has been there for a very long time. and it has silted up real bad. People that want to get to the lake, I mean, you got to stay in the middle, and you better stay in the middle. And I've been asked by hunters and fishermen and just people that want to go out to the lake, just to try to move on this and see if we can get the Corps to help us out with some type of draining project in the future. So I'd appreciate the help from the council to push this
All
forward.
right.
Thank you.
Mr. Dugas?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Richard, the boat landing engineer, is that Powerstone facility?
Yes.
So the canal, is that under the Corps of Engineers jurisdiction, or is
It's
that?
a navigable waterway.
Huh?
Coast Guard navigable
Okay.
waterway.
I just want to make
Yes,
sure.
no, that's a good
we-
question. I didn't even think about that.
Okay, thank you.
Unless you want to dig it out for?
Good try, though.
Any other discussion? Roll call? You gonna make a motion to adjourn? Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? Mr. Brown? Okay, that motion passes. I have a resolution by Mr. Gonsalas and Ms. Broussard to adjourn. If everybody stays seated, we'll roll right into the Finance Committee with Mr. Eugene.